Hi, and welcome to the new section of the course, Setting Up Email. In this section, we will first configure Postfix to send and receive email, then set up DNS records for email delivery. After that, we will configure IMAP, then configure authentication for outbound email. Next, we will configure Postfix to support TLS. After that, we will see blocking spam with gray listing, and finally filtering spam with Spam Assassin. So let's begin with the first video titled Configuring Postfix to send and receive email. In this video, we will first install Postfix and the supporting malutils package, then create the Postfix configuration and finally restart the Postfix service. The most important part of any email system is the MTA. This system is responsible for handling delivery of email messages, both outbound and inbound. It can also be the downfall of your mail system if it is improperly configured, which could result in your system being used for sending spam mail to other destinations. One of the original and most well-known MTAs is SendMail, which dates back to 1983. It is a very powerful tool, and unfortunately very easy to get wrong. In fact, the configuration language for SendMail is so obtuse that there is actually a macro language called M4, which is commonly used for generating SendMail configurations. M4 makes configuring SendMail much simpler, but there are other options available which natively use a sane configuration language like Postfix. Let's see how to do it. Install Postfix and the supporting malutils package. Using sudo apt get install Postfix malutils. Create the Postfix configuration at etc postfix main.cf containing main domain, my destination, and my networks. Restart the Postfix service using Postfix reload. Awesome! You saw how to do it. Now let's see the working part of it. The great thing about Postfix, as opposed to a number of other SMTP servers, is that it is built with a set of sane, safe defaults. Additionally, any setting which is not defined within your configuration file uses that default. This allows for very stripped down configuration files, although you are certainly free to define all the defaults within your configuration file if you want. In fact, Postfix makes that easy to do as well, with the inclusion of the postconfig tool. The postconfig tool is a simple mechanism for interacting with Postfix server configuration. If you run postconfig on its own, it will dump out all configuration options and their current value. You could choose to redirect this output to your main.cf file in order to specify the values for all available configuration options explicitly. While not likely to occur, this could potentially protect you against the default value changing after an update in a way which you were not expecting. You may also choose to run postconfig with a specific variable name in order to limit output to just that one variable. Postconfig/d can be used in order to print out the default value of a setting rather than one configured on your specific system. You may also use postconfig/e in order to edit the settings in etc postfix main.cf. This may be helpful for scripting setup of Postfix. There are three specific items that we choose to override in the preceding configuration. My domain. The default value for my domain on recent versions of Postfix is local domain. We want to change this to be our local domain. In a default Postfix configuration, the my domain variable gets referenced either directly or indirectly by a number of other configuration parameters. My destination. This variable defines what host names we accept mail for. The default behavior is to accept email for my host name, localhost my domain, and localhost. For our purpose, we're going to restrict that to just my domain and my host name. You can choose to add additional host names you want to accept mail for, if you have multiple domains. My network. This defines a list of networks which you trust for relaying mail. Any IP address or CIDR block defined in here can just blindly send mail through us. The default includes 127.0.0.0/8, localhost, and all subnets that your machine is directly part of, which is potentially a bit too wide open for our needs. Great! In this video, we configured Postfix to send and receive email. In the next video, we will look at setting up DNS records for email delivery.